Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the all-time great shows, but unfortunately, it's a property that has been abused by some truly evil scoundrels over the years. There's been a complete failure and an insult to its legacy in a live-action movie that M. Night Shyamalan directed over a decade ago. There's been a handful of unforgivably trash games, even as recently as a month ago with something called Quest for Balance, which is a $50 super stinker that was shat out from the rancid, vile bowels of Game Mill. It's more torturous than a saw trap. The goddamn Brazen Bull was more humane form of punishment than playing Avatar Quest for Balance. And when Netflix unveiled a few years back that they were going to be trying again for a live-action Avatar, a lot of people rolled their eyes and wet their pants, going to bed very concerned and scared because no one that's a fan of Avatar wants a repeat of the 2010 movie that M. Night Shyamalan made. Yesterday, the trailer finally dropped for it, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if it was going to be a blessing or a curse. And I feel as though I'm the only one qualified to opine on the quality of a live-action Avatar because I believe I'm the only person on this fucking planet to see the 2010 live-action Last Airbender movie multiple times. I exposed myself to more radiation than fucking Chernobyl ever was by watching this movie multiple times. I made a whole video on it breaking it down. It is abhorrent. You can really feel the hate that M. Night Shyamalan has for the property. In every single shot, there's just this miasma of agony that is just oozing out of the film. It's something truly special. So I honestly don't think there's a single dimension in the multiverse where the Netflix Avatar would somehow be worse than the 2010 movie. You couldn't try to make it that bad. They couldn't even pronounce Aang's name correctly in that movie. They called him Ong. So I'm happy to report, rejoice Avatar fans, that the Netflix trailer for Avatar live action is pretty good. It's certainly better than the 2010 movie. I know it's a low bar to set, but it clears that for sure. It does seem like they have a team together behind it that cares. I did enjoy it. Now, I do want to dive in a bit more in depth on my feelings about this project going forward. I am still a bit skeptical on how good it's going to turn out. Many of you might not remember this, but 3 years ago, the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender actually walked away from the live-action project, citing some creative differences internally that they couldn't reconcile. So that makes me a little concerned because they're not going with the creator's vision, and their vision is the one that led to one of the most iconic cartoons ever made. That usually doesn't bode well. Now get out your pen and paper because I'm going to take you to class real quick. Let's cite a very recent example here. The success of the live-action One Piece. A production I thought was doomed for failure. I was bah-humbogging about that bad boy for many moons. I didn't think you could take an anime and translate it to live action successfully. I was wrong. And one of the main reasons why I was so wrong is because I didn't realize how involved the creator of One Piece, Oda, was in the production of the live action. And it's very clear that that was the biggest difference maker. You can feel Oda's presence throughout the entirety of the live action One Piece in order to steer the ship properly and make a very good show that stands on its own two legs even outside of the One Piece anime. So people that have never seen the anime still really like the live action. For example, Danny. Danny never watched the anime, he loved the live action, and it got him into the anime, which is something I didn't even know would be possible. So clearly having the creator of the property you're adapting involved is extremely important. Stand back, I'm dunking from the free throw line with this next example I'm dropping on you here. Live action Cowboy Bebop from Netflix. The live action Cowboy Bebop is an absolute disaster, a fucking full-blown Category 5 catastrophe of a show. And guess what? The creator of Cowboy Bebop was not involved in the production of it in any way, shape, or form. And look at how it turned out. It is horrible. That piece of garbage is so foul, if I took a shit on it, my poop would be embarrassed to be on top of it. It is bad. So the fact that here, the creators of Avatar threw their hands up and said, "Bye-bye, pussies, we're not doing this, we're out," is a little concerning, because it makes me nervous with the direction that they're going to take this. Like, this could turn into some kind of fucking sci-fi show. They might try and make this Stranger Things, but with airbending. Like, who knows? So, while I do think the trailer is fine, like, it looks good, I'm still nervous. Another thing I've talked about a lot on stream, and I still firmly stand by this, if you're just taking a animated show, Avatar in this case, and translating it one-to-one to live action, it feels worthless. You already have a beautiful piece of animation that tells an incredible story. Taking that and then just putting a new coat of paint on it just doesn't really seem to do much. Kind of like Lion King, where they took the Lion King animation and then turned it into a pseudo live action movie with the CGI Lion King, which is basically just the same movie, but with CGI instead of, 2D. And it's fucking worthless. Like that, it's entirely worthless. I don't think it adds any value. It's just a cash grab. So if that's the direction they're going, it wouldn't exactly be the most satisfying thing in the world just to see the cartoon I already love being played out again, but with real people. It's not going to enhance it. Like, things that you can do in the animated medium simply cannot be done well in the live action medium, period. The reason One Piece, for example, works so well in the live action and the anime is the One Piece live action is pretty different from the anime. It goes, of course, down the similar story beats, but it executes everything differently, and it breathes new kind of life into One Piece that wasn't necessarily there in the same episodes that it was adapting from the anime. So Oda being there and recognizing that just going one-to-one with it's not exactly going to hit the same way, changed it a little bit and made it really enjoyable. Now, of course, the show hasn't premiered yet. It's not out. I'm just speculating. Maybe they don't just go one-to-one with it, though the trailer makes me believe they are going to try and do a lot of exactly the same stuff from the cartoon into the live action, but maybe they're just doing that to show that they actually do have a passionate team behind there. That's entirely possible. It's not out yet, so I don't know exactly what the direction is. I'm just stating that I'm still a bit concerned knowing that the actual creators of the show left the project over creative differences. That's a pretty big deal, in my opinion. But it could still turn out great. I hope it turns out great. I don't want another bad Avatar live action. That would suck some serious shit. So, that's my full thoughts on that. I do also want to briefly mention something that's really flown under the radar, unfortunately. Netflix also released the teaser trailer for the live-action Yu Yu Hakusho, and I haven't seen anyone talk about that yet. This is something I was extremely skeptical on being good in any capacity because Netflix adaptions, for the most part, are huge fucking misses. Aside from very rare exceptions like One Piece, they don't do a great job of it. So when I saw they announced live-action Yu Yu Hakusho like a year or two ago, I immediately just wrote it off, rolled my eyes, and said, yep, that's going to be turbo ass. And now that they've released the trailer, I can comfortably say, maybe there's a chance. Like, I'm shocked to say it, but there might be a chance that this is pretty good. I didn't outright hate the trailer. I think it's very rough around the edges, but it's a teaser first and foremost, so it's not like they showed a ton. But what they did show, I thought was fine. CG is a little wonky in a couple of the scenes there, but that's to be expected. I kind of like the direction they seem to be going. It's kind of taking characters that you don't see until the Dark Tournament saga and bringing them into the fold much earlier. And it piques my curiosity. It piques my curiosity on how they're going to handle that and what the direction they're going with the story is. It could be pretty decent. Like the couple of the fight scenes they showed, like the choreography looked kind of hype. So who knows? I thought that had no chance, was doomed to failure, but it really wasn't like alarmingly trash or anything like that. Not in my opinion. So yeah, I just wanted to briefly shout that out there because, man, what if Netflix is actually getting it together and releasing like some banger adaptations? That'd be fucking incredible. So yeah, anyway, that's really about it. So yeah, they actually did it. They made a live-action anime series that wasn't utter embarrassing trash that's poisonous to the human eyeballs. The live-action One Piece is very impressive. I didn't think it was possible. I thought we'd discover faster-than-light travel before we discovered how to make a live-action anime that doesn't suck shit. But boy howdy was I wrong. So, I want to give my full thoughts on the One Piece live-action series on Netflix, but before I do that, I'd like to just quickly announce that we're doing a big bundle sale for our comic series Godslap. It's going on right now for the next couple of days, so if you wanted to get into Godslap as well as get some Godslap merch, this is the perfect time for it. It's on badegg.co, I'll put a link in the description. Shameless plug over, let's go ahead and dive in. I'm sure a lot of you know, I was very skeptical when this project was announced. I was even more skeptical and bah humbugging when they first started releasing a few short scenes on Twitter from very early on. But then they started to win me over. The tides were changing when they released a video going over how they built the ships. Because it's practical effects there. They actually built the fucking ships and they look spectacular in the show. So once they released that, and once they released the following trailer, I was kind of sold on the hopium that this could actually end up being pretty good. And it turns out it is good. I'll go ahead and quickly address this because I know a lot of people will ask, where am I in One Piece at the moment? I'm just about to finish the Thriller Bark arc, and I'm enjoying it. Now let's begin with the most surprising thing about the live-action One Piece. The characters aren't cringe. They actually do a really good job with the characters because they do something very smart. They don't try and emulate the anime characters one-to-one. They capture the spirit of the characters from the show and manga without trying to take everything that made them special in the anime and try and have humans cosplay it. Let me explain what I mean. One of my biggest criticisms about adapting anime into live action, the one that I made very vocal with the Cowboy Bebop fucking catastrophe, is that you can't take an animated character and mimic that personality with a real person. The flesh of an organism can only convey so much. However, in animation, you have limitless freedom of expression. And in that medium, it makes sense. It feels natural and normal. It's not like embarrassing or weird. But if you take that and try and have a person do it, then it becomes pretty unwatchably bad. The perfect example of this is actually with Cowboy Bebop, the character Ed, who appears in the anime and the live action. And in the live action, they tried to one-to-one clone Ed. So they had the live action character of Ed doing the same things the anime counterpart did. Oh, well, Spike, it looks like, that kind of shit. And it's hard to watch. It turns out taking an animated character and trying to translate it to a real person doesn't exactly go over super well or look all that great. And One Piece must have recognized that because they don't. Again, the spirit is completely intact. All of the characters in the live action feel like the characters in the anime and manga, but without them coming across as some kind of half-baked bootleg carbon copy. And that is so refreshing. One Piece has a lot of quirky characters. Even as simple as laughs, they make very over-the-top and fun. Stuff like that. And what I expected going into the live action is they'd try and keep that same DNA and put it in the live action and it wouldn't land. But they don't. They take that DNA and put that motherfucker through CRISPR and splice it. They keep the spirit while making it work in live action. Best example is actually Luffy. Now, a lot of you know I haven't been the biggest fan of Luffy, which has made me the #1 most wanted on the grand line of the One Piece community. My fucking wanted poster is in the billions of berries because I wasn't the biggest Luffy enthusiast. I'm not gonna get into the weeds of it, but in a nutshell, the Cliff Notes version was, and according to a lot of members of the community, this is a dub-only problem, so perhaps that's why, Luffy as a character displayed very simple personality traits without a ton of growth. Outside of some very pivotal moments with the crew and very personable moments between Luffy and the crew, the most part was just spent ironing him as stupid and obsessed with meat. And then just nerfing him, taking him out of the equation by getting him stuck in between 2 buildings for 15 episodes or getting him stuck in a snake's belly for 15 episodes, that kind of thing. But as the series has continued to evolve, Luffy is now starting to develop as well. Like I mentioned, in Innie's lobby, he finally recognized that he needs to change as a captain in order to better protect his crewmates. He can't just overpower everyone as he was. Thus, he started to develop new ways of keeping everyone safe and fighting for his friends, so he develops the second gear. And now, going through Thriller Bark, he's only continuing to develop. Thus, I am starting to warm up to him more and more. I got a little sidetracked there. I did end up dabbling in the weeds a bit. The point I wanted to make is Luffy goes through emotional development in the anime over a long period of time. In the live action, they actually take that and condense it to 8 episodes very effectively, I felt. Now, the show does follow the anime and manga story beats pretty closely for the most part, with of course some creative liberties taken to make it more conducive to live action. And I think for the most part, all of those changes work really well. The tone of the show is actually far more mature than I would have expected. Like, the characters, aside from just having the mouth of a sailor, some potty mouth, they actually say fuck and shit. They say shit a lot. They actually increased the maturity of most of the characters as well. Like, for example, Usopp. Usopp in the anime, when he first joins the crew, he is very in your face, over the top, with constant yelling and joking or telling stories. And in the live action, he's very mellow. They really tone that down. Like, he's serious more often than he's silly, and it actually works pretty well. Now, Usopp, of course, in the live action is still telling stories often and telling jokes, but it never feels like it's too much to the point where it gets annoying or overstaying its welcome, like sometimes it did in the anime, where Usopp was on screen and you could most likely bet that it was just going to be a comic relief moment unless shit was about to pop off or he was on fucking death's door. So I just actually really like what they did with pretty much all of the characters. I think the biggest standout for me is Mihawk, actually. Mihawk is so badass in this show. Like, his introduction in the live action is one of the best I've seen in general. Like, they introduced Mihawk in the best possible way. His fight with Zoro is really good. It's super true to the source material, and they fucking nailed every beat of it. It all looks great, honestly. Mihawk, I thought they crushed. But now let's move on from the characters here. Let's talk about how they pulled off capturing so much with so little episodes. Because this goes across a lot of content. And I do think that you can sometimes feel the constraints of that. It does feel a bit rushed at times because there is a lot they need to cover and they don't have a whole lot of time or flexibility to do it. And I think it becomes very noticeable with the Syrup Village arc in particular, when Usopp joins the crew. So, one thing that the show does is the characters basically teleport everywhere they need to go. They don't really spend much time on the ship, which I do think takes away a little bit of the adventure element. I actually like a lot of the time spent on the ship, like the Going Merry in the anime. In the live action, you don't see a lot of that. They just say where they need to go, and then literally a few seconds later, they're just there, without anything in between. Which, again, I think is just the result of only having 8 episodes to get all of this story in there. So they had to utilize instant transmission. Anyway, they're at Syrup Village, and all the story beats are the same as they are in the anime and manga. The major differences are Shaman Buchi being different here than in the show and manga, as well as the absence of Django. Django's just not here. They kept him on the bench, which I think is a weird decision, because Django is pretty fucking cool. But anyway, Syrup Village arc introduces Usopp, and in the anime, they make it clear right away that he is a liar. He calls himself the Great Captain Usopp. He commands 1,000 pirates. He always, says pirates are coming to the village, even though that's not the case. They also establish that he's cowardly. He runs away from fights. He's afraid of it, and that's because he's weak. He's not strong, and he knows it. These are the big 3 things. He's a liar, he's cowardly, and he's weak. But throughout this arc, he is established to be someone that has a really high IQ when it comes to battle. He's very creative when it comes to fighting, and it also helps that he's very good at sniping with his slingshot. And the most important thing is that he is undyingly loyal to the people he cares about, so much so that in the face of all of his shortcomings and all of his weakness, he will put his life on the line to protect the people he cares about. And it eventually leads to the fucking Charlie and the Chocolate Factory golden ticket to join the Straw Hat crew. Now, in the live action, they keep all of the beats intact, but since it wraps itself up in 2 episodes, they completely miss the landing on making Usopp a character deserving of joining Luffy's crew. Like, he is a liar, he is cowardly, and he is weak in the live action, but he never has that triumphant moment where he steps up and he tries to protect the people around him. He shoots like one single slingshot pellet at Kuro, the main antagonist of this arc, and that's it. He doesn't get beat up or roughed up or anything like that, whereas in the anime, he goes through hell. He's like multiple times 1 foot in the fucking grave because he is committed to protecting Kaya and stopping Kuro. And it's this determination to protect those people, even though he's not the strongest, that makes him an admirable character that you can totally understand why you'd want him on board this crew. In the live action, there's just no reason. Like, he doesn't really do anything at all. He tells lies, he tells stories, and to showcase that he's good with a slingshot, he shoots like a little bit of food at a pan. And Luffy's like, oh, you're a good shot. And it was never really about Usopp being like a super strong sniper that Luffy wanted him on board. It was always about his heart, I think. It was always about Usopp and how loyal he was to protect people. And how desperately he wanted to follow his dream of overcoming his weakness and his cowardliness and becoming a brave warrior of the sea. In here, none of those qualities are really exhibited in this arc, unfortunately. And I think it's just because, it only had 8 episodes, so they couldn't dedicate enough time to do that. But I still feel like they needed some kind of triumphant moment with Usopp squaring off against Kuro to try and protect Kaya and Nami, as opposed to him just firing one single pellet and then Luffy immediately coming in and saving the day, just fucking blasting Kuro's ass. I do really like the live-action One Piece adaptation, but I'm not 100% sure how effective it's going to be at getting people invested in the One Piece world. I feel like having the context of the anime or manga going into the live-action really helps elevate the whole experience because you have all of the background information on these characters and the situations they find themselves in, whereas someone who's coming in here cold, just a wee lad out in the rain knowing nothing about One Piece, all they have is the live action content to go off of, and I don't know how effective it is at conveying why Usopp is a good character and why Usopp should be on the crew. And I feel that way about a couple of other story elements, but I think Usopp's was the most egregious one that I thought they just didn't quite nail his reason for joining the crew or why the crew would even want him to join in the first place. But overall, like I said, I think the show hits more than it misses. The only other complaint I have is that sometimes the visuals get a little stinky. With a show's budget as large as this one, that's bound to happen. And I do feel like overall the visuals are great. I was very skeptical on how they'd work with the gum abilities. I didn't think they'd be able to make those look decent in live action, but they did. For the most part, I thought they nailed that. But there are times where the visuals fucking collapse and they look like literally the Flash level, like DCU bad CGI moments. The worst case, the worst scene really in the whole show is when Garp is chasing the Straw Hats and he throws a cannonball. This happens in the anime as well. Garp chases them, throws cannonballs. In the live action, it happens far earlier than it does in the show. And when he throws that cannonball, Luffy inflates and he deflects the cannonball back and it blows up Garp's ship. It blows up one of the things holding the sails. I forgot what it's called. Blows it up and it incapacitates them basically. That whole exchange, bouncing the cannonball back, and especially the explosion, look atrocious. Actually looks like Adobe After Effects tutorial on YouTube. But yeah, I'm not going to get too hung up on that. Like I said, there are just some times where the visuals don't hold up super well, looking like some shit out of the CW. But for the most part, the visuals are great. So overall, the show, I thought, nailed it. This is the first anime adaptation show that I think really surprised me with how good it was. It's clear a lot of passion and love went into this, and it's very clear that Oda himself was involved in the creation of this. I think that's the most important ingredient to have when doing something like this, is have the creator on board to help steer the ship the right way. And I really am excited for the future of this. I hope they continue, and I hope they're given more time. Because I think a lot of the things that myself and a few other people didn't think landed that well is just the result of having to cram so much in so short a time. Oh, also, I really wanted to mention this. They did make a major change with Don Krieg. I don't want to get into spoilers because this actually is totally different than the anime and manga, and it changes everything about, well, I'm not going to say everything. It changes a lot about Sanji joining the crew as well as Arlong. There's huge implications for a big change they made in regards with Don Krieg and that entire situation there. So I didn't love that. I didn't think it was horrible, but the unfortunate consequence of that is Sanji inevitably joins the crew, of course, and for some reason it feels like he's immediately obsessed with Luffy and the crew. Like he is really taken to them so quickly. Again, the result of needing to cram so much content in so short a time, but it just feels really out of place for Sanji in particular, who comes aboard with no hesitation whatsoever, no real conundrum or really any thought whatsoever aside from just, sounds good, I'm in. And then immediately, like, he's ride or die with this crew forever within a couple of minutes. So towards the end, they made some very huge changes that I think had massive consequences and not always in the best way. But for the most part, though, I do feel a lot of the changes they made a lot of sense. And even the change they made here, I get it because of time constraints. That doesn't mean that it's great, though. It's hard to talk about it without getting into specific spoilers, but I think if you watch it and have watched the show or read the manga, you'll know what I mean, and I think you'll probably agree with me, but I have no idea. This is just my opinion on it. But anyway, overall, I did really like live action One Piece. Plugging it into the Moist Meter, I'm going to give it a comfortable 80%. And I'm very excited to see what they do with this going forward, if it's popular enough to get a second season. But yeah, anyway, that's about it. See ya. Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the best shows ever made. Avatar: The Last Airbender, the movie, is one of the worst movies ever made, and it's significantly worse than you remember it being. When this movie came out, everyone couldn't wait to drop their trousers and take a fat shit on it, just plant the steaming load, because the movie's terrible, so it deserves all the insults and all of the scathing reviews it received. But yesterday, Andrew and I decided to take a bath in the M. Night Shyamalan septic tank and watch this film. It's the first time he'd seen it, and second time for me. I first saw it in 2016 because I'm a bad movie enthusiast, and I wanted to taste the forbidden fruit of the Avatar movie. I'd always heard how horrible it was, and I didn't see it when it first came out in 2010, so I went back to just experience it, and it was miserable. But after watching it yesterday again, I swear to God, M. Night Shyamalan himself has gone back into the movie to change things around to make them even worse. The movie is progressively getting stinkier. I felt like I entered an alternate dimension where the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie was somehow even worse than it was in 2010. I didn't remember half of these scenes being as atrocious as they were, and it hasn't been that long since I saw it. It was shocking, and I don't say this lightly, but I do believe this is one of the worst films ever made. Yes, it is worse than The Room when it comes to its dialogue. The dialogue in this film actually does sound like it was written by Tommy Wiseau if he had just hit 50 whippets in his car. It is baffling that this somehow ended up in a big budget film. And I think it's worse than any student film, any indie film. It's worse than fucking YouTube Halo 3 machinimas. It is unbelievably terrible in every possible department. It's extremely obvious nobody on the production side ever watched the Avatar show because they get the pronunciation of every single name wrong. They don't even call him the Avatar, they call him the Avatar. And everyone already knows this, but his name's not Aang in the movie, it's Ong. Sokka is Sokka. Everything is wrong. It's like they just read a Wikipedia article about the Avatar show and then tried to make a movie off it based on 3 sentences, like a plot synopsis. I can't even wrap my head around how it ended up like this. It tries to cover a lot from the Avatar show. It goes all the way up to the moon spirit, starting from literal bottom, starting from the very beginning. In an hour and 40 minutes, it goes from freeing Aang from the water tribe area all the way up to the moon spirit. And nothing makes sense.
Never have a normal life. That I could never have a family. They said it cannot work with the responsibilities of the Avatar.
Why can't the Avatar have a family?
I asked that.
I wanted to show quite a few scenes from this movie while I talked about it to make my points, but I just don't want to take the chance of any copyright violations or anything like that, because God already knows M. Night Shyamalan will get the fucking copyright benders out here and fuck me up. So I'm only going to show bits and pieces here, but here's just an example of a conversation in this movie. It's like 2 Skyrim NPCs malfunctioning anytime characters talk to each other. They don't have conversations. They just vomit out plot synopsis. Just random sentences from the Wikipedia article about, like, Chapter 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender show. They don't actually talk to each other. And it's also filmed super weird, as you'll see here, where it's like a zoom in on their face, like as if it's under a microscope. Like I can see every pore on Ong's face here. Why is it such like a hyper close-up? As if I'm trying to like look at his DNA, like get down to an atomic level on him. It's shot so poorly. And they turn Katara into a goddamn trivia bot. All she does is say like general things about the world at random and ask the dumbest questions of all time. Like, this is a really small excerpt here as an example. When she's on screen, all she's gonna do is monotone ask a question to whoever's near her. It's like she's lobotomized, and all she can do is just ask silly questions. It's like she's Clippy from Microsoft XP who just keeps popping up with a question that you just don't even understand why it's being asked. I don't know why she's even in the movie, because she doesn't do anything. And I don't mean that as an exaggeration. She doesn't do anything besides ask questions sometimes or appear emotionless and say something general about what's going on. For example, there's a scene where Ong runs away, and her and Sokka hear him running away, so they both get up out of bed and they say, "Ong's running away." And Katara says, "He's running away, but he'll probably be back." And that's it. That's like the only thing she contributes to the film in every scene, is just saying things that everyone can already see, or asking questions that are either already being answered or have no place in the film in the first place. She doesn't even waterbend. There's only 3 scenes, I believe, where she's waterbending. 2 of them she fails. Well, 4 actually. The 4th scene, they forgot to use special effects, so she's like bending water, but they didn't put any special effects, so it's just like a calm river underneath her while Ong's looking impressed. So I imagine what was supposed to happen is she was supposed to be like lifting water up, but they just forgot to add that. So 4 scenes where she's supposed to be waterbending. One of them, they didn't even add the effects, and then the other scene is she just gets hit by fire. So in the first 2 scenes, the waterbending fails. The last scene at the very end of the movie, where she's facing off against Zuko, she makes 2 water barriers, blocks 1 fireball, gets hit and knocked out. That's it. That's like the last time we see her. She doesn't do anything. I don't even know why she's here. She's just a fucking punching bag. And Sokka, I can't even imagine what M. Night Shyamalan told the actor to do, because when he's on screen, he just looks like he's always on the verge of tears. Like, he's always so serious, and he only has one look in this entire movie. He's like Derek fucking Zoolander. All he does is when he's on screen, he does this. Forever. He doesn't fight. He doesn't contribute anything. He doesn't even really talk. He doesn't make jokes like Sokka does in the show. He is nothing. He is a fucking android that is malfunctioning. Like, you would expect for a big budget movie like this, they would hire actors that actually wanted to be there, but I felt like all of them were just counting down till they could go home. None of them even tried, except for Zuko. Zuko is actually played by a really talented actor named Dave Patel. He's the only one that even gives a fuck in this film, but even he is dog shit here. But he's the only one that I could see was even trying to act. The other ones just sound like they're voice acting on Disney Junior.
How'd you get all the way out here?
I ran away from home. We got in a storm. We were forced under the water of the ocean.
Oh, I see.
It
Wow.
wasn't very smart. I was just upset.
They're just literally explaining a plot summary of the show.
Hollywood.
Yeah. With about the same delivery as me reading it in my head. The way the characters deliver their lines sounds about as enthusiastic as I do when I wait in line at the DMV and then have to fill out some shit. Like, they just seem so unbelievably bored to be there. And the movie, the most criminal thing about the movie is just how boring it is. Because like I said, they try and covered a lot from the Avatar show in a short amount of time. Thus, the majority of the movie comes out exactly like what you just saw, where they're just vomiting plot summary at each other with nothing else happening. Now, this film had a $150 million budget, so you would expect with that much money behind it, at least the fighting and the effects would look good. No. It's made in Adobe After Effects, it feels like, or Sony Vegas. Like, it's fucking trash. Look at this.
Oh my lord! Here it is!
Yeah.
Yeah!
Whoa! Watch out!
You kid!
This is an actual scene in the final cut of the film. Fucking 10 earthbenders doing an interpretive dance in order to summon a small pebble and slowly push it towards their opponent. This is actually the scene out of Austin Powers when he's in the fucking steamroller and slowly about to run over that guy. And he just keeps screaming. That's the action in this entire movie. It's just people standing there waiting to slowly be hit by something, whether it's a small pebble from the earthbenders or a slight gust of wind from Ong. He doesn't use any cool airbending. Like, when Ong is fighting, he is summoning like actual puffs of wind, like as much wind as I generate just blowing out. That's what you see on screen for the fights. It's so fucking bad. Also, firebenders can't generate flames on their own in this movie. They need a fire source nearby. So the whole film falls apart at the end, where they could just extinguish the flames around the city and the firebenders would be powerless. Because the waterbenders could just throw water on all the torches that light up their city, and the firebenders wouldn't be able to fight back. Because for some fucking reason, M. Night Shyamalan decided to completely change how the bending works for them. So they needed a nearby fire source. Thus, the whole thing could have been avoided by just... If they just said, oh, here's the Fire Nation coming in. Alright, extinguish those torches. Then they're worthless. The film is so unbelievably silly.
That's the M. Night Shyamalan twist.
Oh, it's just like Lord of the Rings.
It is. It's as memorable and good, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't feel like writing a speech or a line, so he just said, go up there and make a noise. That right there is the only good piece of dialogue where one of the guys just goes up and instead of giving a speech just goes, because they just decided not to write dialogue or anything inspirational. Just this random fucking dude goes up there and just makes a goofy noise. That's about as much effort as that went into the entire film. That's the perfect summary of this film. Just go up there and do whatever. I don't care. I got paid a lot of money to make an Avatar movie, but I don't feel like doing any amount of work to make it good. This movie is beyond bad. This movie is like getting a colonoscopy while wide awake for it. It is painful. M. Night Shyamalan's known for his twists in movies, and the biggest twist about the Avatar movie was that it was the worst fucking thing you'll ever see in your life. So if you like the show, get ready to get slapped in the face. It is so much worse than I remembered it being, and it hasn't been that long since I've seen it. It is so fucking bad, and I've only scratched the surface. I wanted to do a really in-depth dive on it, but I just don't really want to risk like a copyright violation or anything, so I'm going to refrain from doing that. I'm just giving you the general basis on why it's so bad and what makes it so awful. There is not a single moment in this entire film that is even remotely interesting or well done. There is no character besides Zuko that even tries a little bit. And even Zuko, who's by far the best performer in this film, does an awful job. Because I really feel like M. Night Shyamalan told everyone to do terrible. Like, go out there and give it your absolute worst take. Andrew made a good point. He said Shyamalan probably just took the 70th take of each scene so all the actors were exhausted. That's the only explanation for how it ended up so bad, and how every single character in here is so poorly done. It makes no sense that this fucking film is in the state that it's in. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about it a little bit since I rewatched it yesterday. That's about it. See ya. Yeah, I just watched the live-action Dragonball movie. Don't cry for me, I did it to myself. It really feels like this movie spits in your eyes when you watch it. I've never watched a movie and felt like genuinely offended until today. I almost made a goddamn twitlonger about this film. So I'm sure all of you know Dragon Ball Evolution is a 2009 live-action Dragon Ball movie, and it's abominable. And I'd never actually seen it. I'd always just heard how bad it was and just assumed it couldn't be worse than the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender movie. But after finishing it, I can absolutely confirm that it is worse.
The first rule is, there are no rules.
I didn't immediately recognize that was a leaf that flew by. I thought someone had thrown a hot dog at Goku's face, like an angry theatergoer throwing tomatoes at the screen or something. I also thought I just completely purchased the wrong movie for a second and just got scammed, because this had nothing to do with Dragon Ball right off rip. The storyline is Piccolo's been sealed away by some ancient curse, and his apprentice Uzaru was sealed away with him, and now it's all about not letting him be unsealed. But he is unsealed. They don't explain how, but he escaped the seal. And like Gohan, Goku's grandpa says, the first rule is there are no rules, which is a line straight out of Fast and Furious. This suffers from the exact same curse that Avatar: The Last Airbender live action suffered from, where none of the characters look like the characters they're emulating, and nothing in the movie even comes close to anything that happened in the shows.
First one to touch the ground loses.
Yeah, that's a real scene in the movie. This isn't a fan edit. That's the level of visual effects that this movie comes to the table with. That little fly looks like an actual student's first attempt with Adobe After Effects after watching 2 YouTube tutorials on it. It is embarrassing how awful the visuals are here. Now, I will grant them that this movie had a $30 million budget, which by all measures for a theatrical release is pretty low, so they had to make do with what they had. So I'm guessing they just hired a team of high schoolers for CGI. This is probably the most insulting part of the movie. That was airbending. I'm not making this shit up, listen.
I will take you to a secret place where a chosen few were taught to master the energy of the 3 elements: air, fire, and water. Shadow Crane Strike is the most basic of all the air bending techniques.
I honestly felt like I was being made fun of, like my feelings were hurt just listening to this. They tried to like hijack Avatar, which is poetic because this came out a year before the last Airbender shitstorm, so it's almost like a little foreshadowing for like the impending disaster that would be the last Airbender movie. I just couldn't believe it when I heard this. For some reason they just bring in bending. Inexplicably. I mean, that's not in Dragon Ball. It's not like a crucial part of Dragon Ball. It's not like all of a sudden like Aang comes out of nowhere and kills Vegeta or some shit like that, or makes a wish on the Dragon Balls himself. I don't understand how this even happened. And it makes me put on the tinfoil hat a little bit to get into the conspiracy side of things, where maybe Hollywood was working together to ruin 2 franchises within a year, and they chose Dragon Ball and Avatar.
Promise. Okay, you made me promise not to fight. Then teach me something I can use. Teach me how to get the girl. Teach me how to talk to her without stumbling all over everything I say.
This movie is so shameless they decided to make Goku an insecure high schooler who gets bullied and asks his grandfather for advice on how to get laid. Who do you think your grandpa is? Some kind of alpha male YouTuber giving you the secrets to pussy? It makes no sense why they would even make this decision for the film.
Hey, Fuller, you just wrecked my bike!
Agundis, did you just fart, man? Because I could have swore I just heard something.
Basically, they took Degrassi and slapped Dragon Ball names into it. They just gave us fucking Riverdale with a Dragon Ball skin. Kind of. And you thought the last Airbender movie was a fucking disgrace to the show it was based on.
Don't worry, it won't be a fight.
It'll be a massacre.
He threw a plastic cup. Why did they make a glass breaking sound effect? Do you think we're all that dumb, huh? We've all seen that plastic cup because it's that same shit they sell in bulk at Target. We all have that cup. We know it doesn't fucking explode like a glass bomb going off.
Missed again.
He gets invited to a party, his bullies are there and they want to beat his ass, but he made a promise not to fight them, but he didn't make a promise not to dodge them and make them fight each other. So he dodges all of their attacks and they end up beating each other's asses instead. And I have to wonder, what high schoolers fight like it's the goddamn Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? One of them comes in with like a flying drop kick from across the fucking driveway for Goku to dodge. But anyway, he ends up dodging everything, they all hurt themselves, and Chi-Chi was watching and instantly falls in love with him.
Doing good. Hey, Fuller! You got a couple of dings there you might want to try buffing out.
I almost forgot to mention this incredible piece of cinema history. Goku starts breakdancing on the main bully's car, and the bully keeps hitting his car with a pipe while trying to hit Goku. but his moves are too smooth. He hits the meanest head slide of all time, going right across the hood of the bully's car. Bully hits it with a pipe again, breaking it even further. I mean, the resale value is tanked because Goku is so good. And then he dodges two bullies' attacks and they hit each other with their pipes. And that's game over, baby. He unleashed the dragon. He went Dragon Ball turbo mode.
I know this may be hard to believe, but we're a lot alike.
This is the best birthday I've ever had.
Goku and Chi-Chi share very spicy interaction here, a lot of flirting, and my god, there is no chemistry between them. It's like chocolate milk and cereal. They just don't go well together. But while they're engaging in this flirting, Goku's grandpa gets murdered by Piccolo. He uses the Force to kill him. Before dying, though, Gohan tells Goku that he needs to find all 7 Dragon Balls and make a wish to banish Piccolo to the Shadow Realm in order to protect the Earth, and that he has to find Master Roshi in order to do it. But then he also meets Bulma.
Who's the idiot? Look at it. Oh my god.
Pretty fucking epic meeting, I will say. And then they manage to track Master Roshi down to a fucking, like, Dr. Seuss house in the middle of a lake outside of a city. But not really outside of a city, it's still like in the city in a retention pond, basically.
Bulma! Bulma! Bulma, wait!
Looks like I'm the idiot, so I thought that was water when I first watched it, but now that I'm editing it, I realize that it's actually floating above a bunch of shit. So I'm really confused on where this is and how this exists. Even more so now. But yeah, I guess it's not water. I don't exactly know what the fuck this is, but this is where they find him.
I am Lieutenant Roshi, the Invincible!
My grandfather is dead.
An inspired performance as Master Roshi here, honestly, 1-to-1 with the anime. And speaking of 1-to-1, let's take a good look at Piccolo. Amateur cosplayers do a better job of looking like Piccolo than this $30 million budget movie. He looks less like Piccolo and more like the Martian Manhunter going through a phase.
For a pretty thing like you, no problemo.
Thank you. You're a real gentleman.
Yamcha, at your service. I'm gonna need some payment.
They fall into a hole and meet Yamcha. That's it. Also, the actor here is really going hard as Yamcha. It's like going so campy that it becomes like almost self-aware. As if this actor knew the script was so fucking trash that he just wanted to poke fun at it in his own performance. Every single line he delivers is the most outrageously over-the-top and dumb thing I've ever heard from a single character. And I have to feel, I really believe that it's on purpose from the actor here.
Wait a minute, is that a Capsule RX 550 Roadster I see down there? Yo, I'll take that!
You're nothing but a low-life bandit.
Yeah, but one with a ladder. Just think it over, because after the sun comes out, it's gonna be hot, hot, hot. Hot.
You see what I mean? It's not even acting. It's like anti-acting. It's wild. I'm just not gonna bother showing anything from like the middle part of the movie. Eventually Piccolo gets all the Dragon Balls through the most underwhelming and unentertaining means imaginable ever. So I'm doing you a favor, but this is when he's about to summon the dragon, so he gets into like a Ginyu Force pose. Like he fucking T-poses and says, you know, like a prayer or something that Master Roshi interrupts. And you could see again the visual effects on full display here. You could feel every goddamn penny of that $30 million budget shining through in this beautiful spectacle.
Is a shell. This is who you are.
This was the big twist. Ozaru, the main bad guy that they needed to stop, not just Piccolo, but Ozaru, turns out to be Goku. He goes great ape form, kind of. I mean, that's how it is in the anime, but here he goes moderate werewolf mode, and then, unfortunately, in his anger and confusion, he kills Master Roshi.
Can you win? Don't let Ozaru destroy the Goku in you.
One of the saddest deaths in cinema history, I would argue, but luckily it was just enough to help snap Goku back into himself and out of Ozaru.
The Dragon Ball is mine.
Oh yeah, also Piccolo's sidekick gets shot and killed here. I don't think she ever even got a name. I'm pretty sure they didn't even bother to give this character any identity whatsoever. But she did have the power of shapeshifting because there's a scene where she transforms into Chi-Chi and then they fight each other and then Goku beats the real Chi-Chi's ass by accident. It's not really like an entertaining scene to watch, but saying it out loud makes it sound better than it is.
I am Ozaru. To be at one with myself, I must be two.
Again!
Giant fucking fart effects all over the place. Bingo bango bongo. Goku beats Piccolo in triumphant fashion. And then they wish Master Roshi back from the dead with the Dragon Balls.
Dragon!
Roll credits. Or so you thought. It actually sets itself up for a sequel. Piccolo's not dead. In fact, he's alive. And sleeping. Soundly. Until he wakes up after having an interesting dream, I guess. So maybe we'll still see a Dragon Ball Evolution 2, if we're lucky. This was perhaps one of the worst adaptations of anything of all time. A statement I don't make lightly, especially after seeing the last Airbender movie, and there's countless other examples, but this one might actually be the worst. Even with all of the problems, the endless amount of problems with the last Airbender movie, it at the very least hit some of the story notes that were present in the show. Like some of the locations, some of it. At the very least. But this hits none. It's entirely different and worse in every possible aspect. The Avatar movie had like $100 million budget. It was a huge budget production. This one was $30 million and the visuals really suffer. Like everything is wrong with this movie. Every single component imaginable. It's actually a masterpiece in how awful it is. So yeah, I do think people are right to say that Dragon Ball Evolution is the worst movie adaptation ever, and potentially just one of the general worst movies ever made for the big screen. That's about it. So yeah. Hey, so my computer monitor fell off the desk today, taking the webcam with it. It was like when Mick Foley got tossed from the cage in the Hell in a Cell match by The Undertaker. And unfortunately, when the webcam hit the floor, something must have broken because, as you can tell, something's gone awry here. There's like a perpetual blue hue to the filming now, and I can't do anything to fix it. I've tried for over an hour, and nothing seems to be solving the problem. So for now, the video is just going to look like it was recorded in a dream sequence out of a romance movie. Now, some of you might remember, a little while back, I auditioned for the lead role in the upcoming Percy Jackson series, and I'm sure any day now I'll be getting a call back, letting me know that I got the part. But I also decided, why limit myself to just playing Percy Jackson? Why not play other 12 and 13-year-olds in other media out there? So I decided that I was going to audition for the new live-action Beyblade series that they're trying to start up. I'm sure a lot of you saw the trailer for the live-action Fairly Odd Parents show. Well, they're doing that for Beyblade as well, and I thought, let's get ahead of the curve here. Let's be proactive. They haven't put out a casting call or anything, but I decided I'll do a demo reel and audition for the lead role right off the bat. So I'm going to go ahead and show you my audition tape now, and if you're watching Jerry Bruckheimer or anyone on the Beyblade live-action team, please feel free to reach out to me, because I'm more than willing to lend my acting expertise to the show.
That one time, for a brief shining moment, I became serious. The same speed Moses parted the Red Seas. El Drago, bring him back!
So, give me your name, your age, and the role you're auditioning for.
My name's Charles White, Tampa native. I'll be auditioning for the role as Ryuga in the upcoming live-action Beyblade series directed by Jerry Bruckheimer. Jerry, this one's for you.
And then, can you, yep, thank you. Here's to the other side, there we go. Yeah, yep. Thank you.
Also, Ryuga, I know, is 13, I'm 27, but I'm willing to shave my beard to give the authentic look. Ready?
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Ryuga, you're okay!
For a brief shining moment, I was serious. Fuck. Line, well, that wasn't the, hold on.
Ryuga, you're okay! That one time, for a brief shining moment, I became serious. Fuck!
Oh, what does he do?
It's like 8 words.
I know, but I'm in his head, Matt.
Right, but then
I'm about to sacrifice myself, it's a lot. You don't understand.
You forgot 3 words.
But this is he dies after that, Matt. It's a lot of, like, endorphins. Alright.
Ryuga, you're okay! That one time, for a brief shining moment, I became serious. I promised. Kenta, take it!
That's what he vaporizes.
That was great.
On this one, can you do it with a little southern twang? Like, not full on, but maybe.
My inner shot.
Well, I don't know if I'll do the southern twang yet. I'm just gonna see what feels right.
Do what feels right.
Yeah.
Italian, anything. Kendo! That was not Italian.
Take the gabagool! Kenta! Oh. I went backwards. Just take it, Kenta.
Yeah, Kenta comes after.
Here, we can do it. Let's do another scene, actually.
Like, just transfer your emotion into the ripcord pulls and, like, see how many different, like, what your range on letting it rip.
Okay, so he's the Dragon Emperor, so I gotta, like, channel that.
Yeah, so you
Wait, do you want to put red down there?
Yeah, can you? Yeah, I need something to kill.
Yeah.
You're going against your biggest enemy. You're done. You're ready to kill him. You just want him to die. Channel that anger and energy into it. Man, you're a threatening foe.
I would say so.
So what about this? You're forced to rip your Beyblade against a friend who you know you're going to beat, but you don't want to. I could feel the Italian in his face at that one. We maybe need to just shoot one death scene. I know we shot a vaporizing scene.
Yeah,
you on the floor.
Deatomized.
Yeah. Just like full death. What do you think, or do they not need to see that?
Well, there's definitely going to be death
in the show.
Yeah, I mean Jerry Bruckheimer's known for like very visceral, over-the-top gore, so I imagine he'll translate that to Beyblade.
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna rip it by you, just to give you the effect.
No, you can actually rip me. I'm a method actor. Can I get some like fake blood, maybe? Like I'm bleeding out.
Yeah, we'll edit that in.
Okay,
post.
yeah.
Well, I'll try to get you back. All right,
do it.
Let it rip.
Drago.
Hold it. Blood's being edited in.
the post-death laugh.
You hit him right.
Yeah, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Did I hurt that bad?
No, I can take it. I can do my own stunts too, Jerry. I revive you with a reverse spin, and it turns back the clock, and you come back alive.
Oh, that's
we're
perfect.
just doing his job forward.
All right, here, yeah. Come get down there.
Don't write the whole movie for him.
True, yeah. Jerry, I'll need a writing credit for that. We ready?
We're ready. Go ahead.
Okay. Kenta, you didn't deserve this. Executed for crimes you didn't commit. I won't let it happen. I'm gonna turn back time with a rip to end all rips. The same speed Moses parted the Red Seas. El Drago, bring him back! Oh, Kenta!
I'm alive!
That felt like a good scene. What do you think?
I think that was pretty good.
Do you have any like words for Jerry? Because he's really
Yeah, like, what's your past experience?
I'm sure Jerry already knows. I was in the Hunger Games. I auditioned for Percy Jackson. I think I should be getting that role pretty soon. I'm sure Jerry's already, I mean, attached to this, I'm sure we have my whole resume.
Right. We'll send it over with this.
So it's a pretty good resume. I think I could really nail the role. If Ryuga's not in it, I'm sure I could adapt to pretty much any character you think I would fit, Jerry. Thanks, man. Please forgive me, Father, as I step into this holy church and confess to a sin in front of the eyes of God and weebs. I've never seen Cowboy Bebop. I know that's shocking. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a turbo otaku, but I've watched a lot of anime and I've never seen Cowboy Bebop. It's one of the most beloved anime of all time. It's like 20-something years old now and people still talk about it to this day. It's a show I've always said I'll watch at some point, and god damn it, I will. But I haven't yet. But luckily, Santa Claus wiggled his big dump truck ass cheeks down my chimney and blessed us with an early Christmas present. It's the Netflix live-action Cowboy Bebop. I wanted to actually watch the anime before watching this, but I didn't realize that the live-action was coming out so soon, so I again didn't get a chance to. And I'm super glad I didn't, because I would have been genuinely insulted watching this live-action version of it. Cowboy Bebop fans hate it, critics hate it. I really can't find any audience that likes it even a little bit. It seems like people would rather have hemorrhoids than watch this show. And as someone who hasn't seen the anime it's based on, I can still watch this and recognize that it's probably disgraceful to the source material, because it's goofy. Watching Cowboy Bebop feels like I'm watching Shark Boy and Lava Girl. It's rough. It is very... Let me just show you a quick clip.
Me, you, bottle of Chianti, 2 bottles of We're Feeling Dangerous.
Sounds to me like blackmail.
You're damn right it is, because, Jet, you are black and you are male.
What? Yeah, believe it or not, that's in the show. Like, that's in the final cut of the show. Like the Netflix show. It's crazy. It's fucking mind-boggling. Now, this isn't the first time Netflix tried to make live-action anime work. They tried with Death Note a few years ago. I love Death Note, and I actually liked the Netflix Death Note, not because it's good, but because it's so bad, it's good. The live-action Death Note was one of the goofiest fucking adaptations of anything I've ever seen. Somehow they took Death Note and turned it into, like, the worst B-movie gore porn. Like, every single person in the live-action Death Note was just like this balloon of meat waiting to pop. Like, anytime a character even touched another character, it was like they just got fucking insta-gibbed in Team Fortress 2. They just blow up into intestines, titties, and fucking blood splattering everywhere. Like, it was a really dumb show, and had almost nothing to do with the source material that it was based on, but I still enjoyed it because it was so shitty. And I guess Cowboy Bebop can kind of be in that same ballpark where it's bad and you can recognize it's bad, but there are still some things about it that will entertain you. But overall, most of the time I was like, oof, it's just not very good. But it's also not the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, which isn't an amazing compliment, but I'd rather watch live-action Cowboy Bebop than security camera footage of my car being stolen, so that's saying something. It's also not even the worst adaptation ever made. That title still belongs to the last Airbender movie. Which also isn't a great compliment either. That's a pretty low bar. It's not really saying that much. That's not exactly something that's going to make it into the promotional marketing material for live-action Cowboy Bebop. Netflix isn't going to publish, in quotes, well, at least it's better than live-action Airbender movie. It's just, what I'm saying is, like, I didn't hate it the entire way through. It is in that territory of entertainingly stinky. So one thing that I want to point out with the Cowboy Bebop show is when there's a fight, it's like it's a high school play. That's kind of the vibe I got throughout the entire 10 episodes. It never really feels like I'm watching a show. It feels like I'm watching a cosplay performance at Comic-Con. And there's no scene that illustrates that better than the final scene in the season. And this is a spoiler, of course, but honestly, I wouldn't recommend watching the show anyway, but just a heads up, this is my kids. I want to make it clear, I don't blame the person playing Ed in the show. It's, a role's a role, and from what I understand, this is like their first major role. And they're doing the best they can, but the thing is, anime just doesn't work with real people. Like those over-the-top facial expressions that you see stupid fucking TikTok comedians using as their punchline, that just doesn't look good when you put it on, like, the big screen. Doing these huge gestures that anime characters do, like, it's super cringy when a person does it, and you can see it in full effect here. They tried to be too faithful to how it looked in the anime for the character, and it just doesn't work. It comes across as, wow, this sucks. There just isn't a single actor or actress on the planet that could make this not look embarrassing. It's not possible. They needed to tune the character a bit more to fit the medium. It's really pretty weird that they tried to be so faithful to the anime with just Ed, because all the other characters they did tune to be more realistic than their anime counterpart, but for Ed, it seems like they wanted to go one-to-one with how they were in the anime. Again, I've only seen clips and bits and pieces of Cowboy Bebop, but I can at least say the way Ed acts in that show versus the live action is pretty close, like it's pretty similar, and it doesn't translate well from anime to human being. Now, there's really no winning when it comes to adapting something as cherished as Cowboy Bebop. The anime hardcore fans are going to lose their mind if it's not completely faithful, and then the people that just want to watch a good show are also going to be really disappointed to see something that looks like this, where it's too faithful, and it ends up looking like Ed's trying to make a child laugh at their 8th birthday party. And it doesn't really feel like they fit into this gritty world. So there really wasn't any winning here, but I think they should have gone for like the less silly approach where they make them act like a clown. They should have just made it more grounded in reality that they were establishing like they did with the other characters, because it just feels out of place. And one other thing I want to point out is the show really tries to capture an anime style in its presentation, and I just don't think it's possible with the budget they were given. And they also tried to include like anime style lines in the show, which I don't think make it at all. Like they just don't hit. Like that shit is not banging. When you're taking like lines from an anime where people die when they are killed, and you put it in your live action version of that anime, it's like, ooh, made it even worse. Like, you know, maybe just change some of that, because it doesn't land, you know. So some things just only work in anime, in that animated medium, and when you hear real people talking to each other like that, it's like, oh, that's kind of jarring. I don't think that conversation would ever happen in the real world ever, under any circumstances. So that's just another thing I wanted to point out. Like the way the characters interact with each other, I enjoyed, but only because of how wacky it was. But like in the wackiest way imaginable. Like it's just super cheesy. It's like everything was written by AI. So I don't think any of the actors or actresses did a bad job in the show or anything. I think they did their best with what they were given. It's just the script and also the scope of the show would have required a budget 100 times the size of what they used here. You can really feel that it's kind of on the lower end of a budget for something this size. So they did the best with what they had to work with. But like when they're talking to each other, it is so laughably weird and out of place. So like, for example, in one of the early episodes, Jet Black gets a guy's hand. He pulls his hand off, and then him and Spike, they go on the ship, and he's like, I've got this, and he throws a hand on the table, and Spike goes, good, I needed a hand. And it's like, wow, that was like the most low-hanging fruit imaginable, and they actually said it and published it. And it's like that stretched across 10 episodes. Like, there's not a whole lot of great chemistry between the characters, because it feels like it's just like quirky lines all the time, and that's their personality with each other. It's just, again, something I feel only would really work in the anime version. Just to sum everything up, why make this at all? This was just a big misfire. I don't think anyone wanted this, nor is anyone happy with the result of it. It was just not a good idea, even from the get-go, to try and make Cowboy Bebop work as a live-action show. It does seem like there was at least some passion put behind it at some point along the project, but it's misplaced. There was no reason to try and even make this in the first place. And if you were going to attempt it, it needed a bigger budget to capture the scale and scope of the anime. So, overall, not very good. That's about it. See ya. Hello there. Netflix just dropped a fucking stinker called The Last Days of American Crime, and occasionally I'll watch a movie that's so bad I don't want to put it on the moist meter, and this is one of those cases. Main reason I don't want to moist meter this one is because I feel like just giving it a low score, like 10% or something, might make someone think, maybe it's so bad it's good. It's not. It sucks. It blows ass. If this movie had a face, I would slap it. It's 2.5 hours of agony, just pure time wasting. The first sin you need to be aware of with this movie is that it's directed by the same guy who made Taken 3. You know, the infamous jumping the fence scene that has 15 cuts in 6 seconds? Yeah, imagine that stretched out across 2.5 hours. Now, admittedly, he used significantly less cuts in this movie than his previous work, so he seems to be gradually improving in that department over the course of like 5 or 6 years, so, you know, it's great. He's on the come up now. In fact, I'd argue in each action scene in this movie, there's probably only about 10 cuts per 6 seconds, so he's starting to get the average down. But unfortunately, while he took 1 step forward with his action, he took 20 steps backwards in every other department. It kind of just fucking sucks on all fronts, especially when it comes to narrative and writing and characters and pretty much just general movie making. But I want to start with something I liked here, because there is something I liked here, and it's the premise. It's based on a graphic novel, and the premise of the movie is America has developed this new technology that is a signal that gets pumped across the entire country that inhibits anyone's ability to perform an unlawful action no matter what. There's just some fucking goofy radio wave that gets pumped out at the push of a button that taps into people's brains and shuts off their ability to break the law. It's like a concept you'd read from someone who's afraid of Wi-Fi. It's really fucking goofy, but I do like what they could have explored with that idea, turning the whole country into a police state where everybody's freedom has been stripped of them by having a signal rewiring their brain. And I think that's an interesting thing they could have explored, which they don't. The movie focuses on 3 people that just want to commit the last crime America will ever see by stealing $1 billion as a big fuck you. And honestly, that could be pretty cool too if the characters weren't so insufferably edgy and the writing didn't seem like it was trying so goddamn hard to be cool. The dialogue between these characters is the dumbest shit I've seen in a while. It's like it was actually written by someone's 12-year-old that's going through their goth phase for the first time. And I'm not exaggerating, it really is just super fucking bad. Like, the first time we're introduced to the female main character, she comes into a bar where we see our main character who's feeling sorry for himself, drowning his problems in alcohol. You know, he just got bad news. His brother's killed himself in prison, and, you know, he's just not happy about it. But our female lead marches right up to him, takes an ice cube out of his drink, sucks on it, puts it back in, and they fuck in the bathroom. After he's ejaculated inside of her, after about 45 seconds of awkward watching of thrusting in the bathroom, she looks in the mirror and says, "Cross that off my to-do list." Main character says, "What?" She says, "Fuck the loser." And that's where that scene ends. Honestly, I was expecting more cuts during the sex scene. I'm pretty sure there weren't any, and I think it was just one static shot of just watching this thrusting against the wall. Knowing this man's directorial decisions, I was half expecting like 20 cuts to come in where I get like a nutsack shot, you know, a quick glance at the nutsack, and then bang a little bit of shaft. You don't want to show too much shaft. Then bang titties, and then bang face, sack, face, done. You could have definitely put more cuts in here is what I'm saying. In fact, I almost missed the cuts. It was just weird watching a static shot of that for so long. I think maybe at this point in this man's directing career, he should just rely on like 1,000 cuts per scene. At least have something unique about it as opposed to just some generic garbage now, because this movie takes generic shit we've all seen before and just makes it worse somehow. And I really can't stress just how hard it tries to be cool. Every character is like an evil character with goofy, comical, evil supervillain dialogue. You know, for example, one of the main's dads is a bad guy, you know? So when the main comes to the dad, he's like, "Dad, you're a bad guy because of this." And then the dad's like, "Well, son, you're a bad guy because you fucked your mother." "No, Dad, that was my stepmom, and I introduced you to my stepmom, and I fucked her because I don't like you, Dad." And he says, "Well, son, who fucks their own stepmother?" And that's the argument that they have. Like, it's just really trying so hard to be like edgy and cool, and while that's not the best example of it, it's still just some dumb shit. But I think the biggest sin of this movie is its runtime. It is 2 hours and 29 minutes. That is far too long for a movie that is just so choppy, all over the place. For an action movie, there's really not much action, and when there is, it's really underwhelming shit with not a whole lot going on or a whole lot of moving parts or interesting things. It's fucking boring. It is a slog. It's a fucking chore to watch. It is not good. For a movie about being unable to commit crime, the fucking director committed the biggest crime of all and made this movie so fucking long just to waste as much time as possible from the audience. which is a shame because, like I said, the concept is cool, and I do think the actors did try at least to put on a performance given what they had to work with, and I respect that. But man, the movie is just so all over the place, and that's another thing. The editing in this movie doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, scenes will just jump all over the place without anything connecting them, just all very loose. Towards the end of the movie, it feels so rushed that it all falls apart. It's so fucking dumb, and I'm really upset because it has my boy Charlton Copley in it, and I fucking love him. I think he is a criminally underrated actor who is so talented but keeps landing some bad roles and some bad shit. This being one of those, which is a shame, but again, I am a huge Copley fan, and his character in this movie isn't that bad, but even his character just feels like a useless, dumb character. Like, it just, all of it just feels so fucking empty. So 2.5 hours, not worth spending watching this movie. That's what I wanted to talk about. Just not a fun movie. Not so bad it's good, just a shitty movie. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah.